Hey, it's Jean-Marc. Just another normal day. Well, I want to tell you about this brand new interview I did with Geraldine Convento. Check it out.
Hey everyone, my name is Geraldine Convento, and I'm a talk show host and entrepreneur from the San Francisco Bay Area. I have a few different businesses in the area of business improvement, law of attraction, and website development, and our teams are all over the world.
What was it like before this whole big change happened for you and your business and your people?
The main difference was that I had an office I was commuting to every day. I was shifting from meeting to meeting and barely eating 3 meals a day. Yeah, maybe having one meal a day or just feeling really drained.
Isn't that the rub, though, as being an entrepreneur? It's like, what's the phrase? You stop working 40 hours for someone else so you can work 80 hours for yourself. So, I mean, talking about the transition period, what was that transition like for you? Okay, so this big thing happens. What's life looking like for you and your business right after? I know you had some changes that happened and some structural changes.
I was really excited at first because like, oh wow, I could stay home. How cool. I don't have to sit in traffic. I don't have to be face to face with people all day, that type of thing. But then after a while, all of these different emotions start to come through and it's like, wow, this is longer than I thought. I feel kind of guilty not being in my office. I had access to my office, even though it was shelter in place, but it just didn't really make sense to me to drive over there anymore. What it took is being in conversation with other entrepreneurs and just seeing like how everybody else is feeling and seeing that, wow, everybody's having this kind of wave of emotions around this. And maybe it's not directly correlated with the whole change in work lifestyle. It's actually a pandemic. Like this is a real thing that's going on, and it's okay to feel all these different emotions that's coming up.
That's a good point. I kept referring people back to Elisabeth Kubler-Ross with the whole stages of grief and loss,
Oh yeah.
the anger, the denial. And I kept posting that to my friends. I'm like, listen, it's going to happen. We're going to keep bouncing around to different places. You're going to be angry, and then you're going to be like, no, 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 it's not a real problem. It's not a real problem. No, no, it is a real problem. And then you're going to try to pretend that you can just go back to the office.
Yeah.
So thinking about how stuff changed for you, what were the new thoughts that you were having? What were the new actions that you were taking to allow you to start to shift this whole thing around for yourself?
I was just thinking about how like, wow, this is the perfect opportunity to think about the future. And I'm not talking about the future like a month from now or 3 months from now like I used to plan. I'm talking about like 5, 10 years from now. What does that look like? What do I really desire my business future to be? And so I ended up interviewing a whole bunch of coaches and seeing like who would be a really great fit for me. And what it came down to was I ended up putting myself in a 12-month self-mastery program for entrepreneurs that just focus on all areas of life and thinking about the next 10 years and planning out what that's going to look like. Something I'd never even considered doing before, but I figured now's a really great time because when am I ever going to have this opportunity to do that if we go back to normal?
Wow. Wow, I did not know it was 12 months. I know you told me
Yeah.
it was, you were on a program. I'm like, oh, is she on like a boot camp, 2 week, 3 week thing? 12 months.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's my old style. You and I have talked a lot about books and programs and, we always like the fast track, get all the bits and pieces and nuggets that you can, and then, move on to the next thing. But when I thought about it, I'm like, wow, what will it really take for me to achieve something that I've never achieved before?
If I may, I want to also touch on something that you brought up. It's that getting over this consistent feeling of guilt that
Yeah.
you have as a business owner. Like, I should be doing work. I can't enjoy my tuna sandwich. I gotta be running my people. getting some kind of program up. What do you do to get that like evil demon mind thing out of your head? Is there like a process or thing that you tell yourself to understand that you can take some time for yourself?
Well, I can't say that I have a particular method, but I do surround myself with different resources to deal with it. So I don't feel as guilty as I used to, but the things that I do is I listen to hypnosis audios telling me about how great of an entrepreneur I am or how great of a person I am. I also have a neuro-linguistic programming coach where when these things come up, I talk to them about that to get to the root causes of why this might have occurred as a belief of mine. And other than that, expressing it is really good. I don't always do that though. And just saying, I feel really guilty that I'm not doing this, and like telling someone you felt guilt or shame around something, that's a really huge release. And I need to do that more often.
That's good.
Yeah.
It's solid. So what is your advice to business owners during this time as they're figuring things out, as they're making changes to their business? Because we didn't even get into like what you did with your business, which is really cool.
Yeah.
But before then, what sort of advice do you have for them?
Well, two things. The first thing is to make sure and maintain your relationships and keep them really strong. And the people that you want to maintain your relationships with are your customers, so that might look like for you being on social media and just checking in about, what they're up to, what you're up to, keeping top of mind. So if you have clientele and a big following, you might want to do it that way. Or even calling or emailing your customers and just saying, hey, how is this affecting you? This is how it's affecting us. If you ever want any advice or anything, send us a note. So just keeping in front of them. The second thing is thinking about the fact that anything could happen at any given moment. Like we didn't know any of this was going to happen. So use this opportunity.
Talk about what kind of positive changes and results that you started seeing as you started making this shift. What cool things happened?
Business has gone up, oddly. I didn't expect that at all. I've just been really fortunate to have, again, strong relationships with my clients and also be working with a pool of entrepreneurs who really are committed to bettering their business during this time. And are able to take risks. So that for sure. A lot of being in the kitchen and cooking and eating 3 meals a day, which has never happened in my life. I mean, I've never been trying to eat 3 meals a day, but seeing what a difference that really makes in energy throughout the day, being able to be consistent with all levels of self-care, like meditation and reading and all that stuff, and just seeing how grounding that could be. Wow, what else? A lot of strategic partnerships, again, I don't want to do things by myself.
And what does taking your power back mean to you?
Taking your power back means that you're very clear about what your personal values and goals are, not only in the area of your business, but also your personal life too. Like what's really important to you, and aligning that with everything that you're doing. So you look at your calendar, you look at who's around you, and make sure that everything is strengthening that as opposed to stressing you out and causing drama in your life. So that way you can live the happiest life that you can.